Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Easily Knitfluenced and my name is Michelle. I am a knitter and maker based just outside of New York City, and on this channel I share my thoughts on all things knitting related. So what I'm working on, what I want to work on, what I finished, you know the drill. And I do yarn reviews. I'm going to do some beginner series as well. I would classify myself for reference as an advanced beginner, I guess. Have been knitting for a long time, but only really started knitting garments at the beginning of 2023. So I'm pretty fresh to that. And today we are going to do a typical podcast episode. So I was away at the end of March, which is why this is a little bit late, but this is intended to cover the entire month of March. So let's start with finished objects. And my one finished object for the month I do not have with me because, drum roll, it was my Folklore Cardigan by Amy Gunderson. So I gifted this to my sister-in-law. We all got together for Easter in Virginia, so we drove down for that, and I gifted it to her at the end of March. So she's thrilled. She's posted some stories on her Instagram as well about how lovely it is. So I'm really, really happy that that she likes the gift. But I did take some footage of it. Literally, I finished this the day before we had to drive down to Virginia, so it was like down to the wire. I took some footage of it the day before we went down, so I will splice that in here so you can kind of see my thoughts and everything on it. So I'm gonna edit that in right here. Hey guys, just shooting some quick footage here, which future editing Michelle is going to splice into the video. But because I need to give this away soon, this is my completed Folklore Cardigan by Amy Gunderson. Last step, I have not attached buttons here yet, so that's my job for tonight. This is fresh off the blocking mat, so it's even like very slightly damp, like especially around the underarm. But it's done. This is done. So I'm sure I will have already inserted some footage of me kind of twirling around, but in case you don't really see that, you can kind of check out the patterns here. This is the back, side panels. So I'm going to give my quick thoughts on this pattern now, and editing Michelle will splice this all together afterwards. So my thoughts here, this is a classic case of the juice being worth the squeeze here. So previous videos you guys will have seen, I had some complaints about this pattern. You know, it is kind of a sparse pattern, I would say. It's not the most kind of comprehensive, hand-holdy type of pattern. So if you look at my previous videos, you'll see I had some issues with that. One of them being there is a slight error that you might be able to see here on where these decreases happen. I was meant to have like one purl stitch in between, which I didn't. And, you know, that kind of led to the cables melding together a little bit, but I don't think it detracts from the overall look at all. So, you know, I think in the end, I got through the pattern as a relative beginner. So if you've kind of knitted things before, you'll probably be okay. You just need to kind of pay attention and look through Ravelry, look through pictures, and make sure you're kind of like referencing with other people who've done the pattern before. And I will upload to my Ravelry as well all of the pictures and everything. I'll put links below that I took kind of through the process of this. But I think we can all agree this is an absolutely beautiful pattern. I mean, it's gorgeous. I really love this. I think it didn't get boring at any point, which was kind of my concern with like, there's a lot going on. There's sort of, you know, moss stitch and cables and whatever. At no point was I like, oh gosh, I'm so sick of knitting cables or moss stitch. This felt very engaging and kind of potato chippy throughout, which was great. So a word for anyone who's tuning in for the first time, I'll just kind of go through, you know, how the construction and what yarn I used. I used the suggested yarn for this pattern. So that is the Madeline Tosh DK Superwash. I used the color Horn, which is this, can't really see it from far away, but it's this like speckled kind of white color. And I switched out the color for the contrast. I think they use, the pattern suggests a color called Cardigan, fittingly. I didn't use that. I used this color instead. This is Nocturne, which is, it reads as almost black here, but it's kind of a navy color. And I think it picks up on the navy speckles here quite nicely. So those are the yarns I used. I sized down one size from the suggested needles. I think the suggested was a US 6 and a 4 for the ribbing. I did a US 5 and a 3. That's pretty typical for me. I do tend to need to size down one needle size. But other than that, I didn't really change anything about this. The only thing maybe oh yes, I did, correction, I did make one modification. I basically do most of my ribbing in twisted rib, so I did that here too. So this is all like half twisted rib. Um, so yeah, that's the only difference. Yeah, but other than that, I knitted this exactly to pattern. So the way this is done, you knit everything in pieces. So there's one big piece in the back, then you knit these side panels with kind of the decreases happening here, and then you knit the sleeves flat. Now, you obviously have to seam them together, and this is my first time ever seaming, so was a bit of a learning curve. Took a minute before I kind of fully came to grips with how to do it. I would also say, I kind of wasn't super aware of like tensioning during seaming, especially with the mattress stitch and so on. So I got really freaked out that especially the underarm here would be really tight. And it does feel maybe a little tighter than like, most garments I've knitted, because I tend to have kind of like big sleeve holes. But I think it's going to be fine for the intended recipient. She's a little smaller in frame than I am, so I think this would be plenty roomy enough for her. On me, if I was wearing a thick shirt under this, I think this would feel a little snug, but it looks fine. It feels fine right now with like a little short sleeve under, so it's okay. But yeah, once I started seaming, I was like, ooh, this is looking a little tighter than maybe I'm used to. And on that note, so I don't know if I made some like huge miscalculation here. I knitted the size small. I'm pretty sure. I'll correct it on screen if I didn't. I knitted the size small. I bought the recommended amount of yarn for that. I hit gauge with my US 5 needle, and they suggest that you do gauge in the moss stitch, which is this patterning here. So I hit gauge with that, and I'm not really sure what happened, but I think this should have more positive ease than it does. So I don't know if like my cabling like pulled everything together a lot more than maybe I was expecting. But the swatch, the swatch measurements, like the gauge measurements in the pattern are about moss stitch and not the cables. So I I'm not really sure how to correct that or what to suggest to you guys, but I don't know, maybe do a swatch with like, if you're really unsure, like do a swatch with the moss and then do one with the cable and see if it shrinks it in, because that is definitely what I'm feeling like happened here. Not that this is too small for me, but I think the pattern suggests more positive ease than I'm getting. And I've been a little delinquent with like doing the measurements before and after. But yeah, when I first tried this on, I was like, ooh, like this feels smaller on me than it should. But for the intended recipient, it's going to be fine. She, like I said, her frame is smaller than mine, so it's not going to be an issue. But, if you're on the borderline in those sizings of the pattern, just maybe just be careful with that. Other things to say, I have washed this yarn twice now. So each piece after I finished, I washed and blocked it so that I could seam it together easier. Then I kind of fully put everything together, put on the button band, and then washed it again. So this is after second wash, and it's holding up beautifully. No issues. I put it in a quick wash, like high spin. It was fine. So, I probably wouldn't wash this like every day, but I think it's a very sturdy yarn in that sense. No real problems that I can detect. And yeah, it's also drying really beautifully. No pilling, nothing that I can see as of yet, at least from the washing. So who knows what'll happen with wear. But I love this pattern now. And I know I was not a naysayer, but I was complaining about it in earlier videos. But hey, the end result, like, so worth it. So I think it's going to be beautiful on the person I'm giving it to. So I'm really, really excited to gift this. I think she's much more of a Swiftie than I am. I like Taylor Swift as much as the next person, but she's like really into her. So I hope, that she enjoys the end product. But those are my thoughts, on this cardigan. So I'd say, in summary, this is, I wouldn't say it's a beginner pattern. I think you can work it out if you've done a couple of, sweaters before. I have not done anything flat. I've never seamed before. So listen, if I can do it, I'm sure you can too. So there's nothing here that's rocket science. I think you just need to kind of do it slow and steady and kind of pay attention and make sure you're looking at other photos and reference pictures and so on. But if you tackle this project, this is potentially the end result you'll be left with. So yeah, all in all, I think this was a win. I'm really, really happy with this finished product. So that's it, and on to the rest of the programming. So editing, Michelle, go ahead and splice this in. But that's it for me.
Yeah, so I think that covers kind of most of my thoughts on this. You know, I think what I was referring to there around like kind of the sizing of it being a little odd. Yeah, I have a skein and a half of the horn yarn left, which feels like a lot. I did size down on the needles, but like I said, I get gauge on that needle. So I'm a little surprised that I have this much yarn left. And it's also kind of an awkward amount of yarn. It's like a skein and a half of DK weight yarn, and it's hand dyed. So I am thinking now about, you know, stash busting and kind of what I'm gonna do with that yarn. I do not have a good answer to that yet. So we'll have to see. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Maybe I can knit a hat or something out of it, but it's beautiful yarn, so I really do want to use it for something. But I don't know what happened with, maybe it really was the cables that just kind of cinched the whole sweater in somehow. But yeah, you know, it really kind of turned out a bit differently than I was thinking in terms of sizing, but luckily it fit the recipient perfectly. So that is all we care about. You know, I'm very, very happy with that. So, okay, on to whips. So because I was so focused on the Folklore Cardigan, I haven't finished any of the other objects that I was working on last month, but I have made significant progress, I would say, on 2 of them. So we're gonna start with the Peggy sweater by Lee Knits. Here she is. I'm back here so you can see her. So I have finished one sleeve. This is done. Excuse all the ends kind of flying around. And I'm probably a third of the way through the second sleeve. So this should be done, I think, this week, which is good because we're still having some pretty cold weather here in New York, kind of surprisingly. So if I can get a couple weeks wear out of this, I'll be really happy. But yeah, this is the Peggy sweater. I am knitting this out of Sandnes Garn fingering weight, the Sandnes Garn Sunday in the color 8236 and the matching mohair as well. So I'm still loving this color. I think this is, you know, this is gonna be great for the springtime and probably for the holidays this year as well. So kind of dual purpose. So yeah, I'm really excited to get this done. You know, anyone tuning in for the first time, it's a really cool kind of textural pattern. So I think texture's having a moment now. Like I think there's still kind of going on. You've seen a few petite knit patterns with that texture. And this is kind of a cool alternative to that, I think. This has been my first time doing baubles, so that's been really cool. I really like the kind of understated bauble look. Yeah, I'm really loving this. I think I'm very excited to wear this. Construction-wise, you know, nothing too crazy going on here. This is a kind of typical drop shoulder. You knit a panel in the back here first, and then you kind of knit 2 sections going down here, join in the front, work down in the round, and then pick up for the sleeves. So nothing too kind of revolutionary or scary going on. It's a very well-written pattern, I will say. You know, I haven't really made any modifications on this, so it's been very easy to work through. I'm just chugging along through the charts. One thing I'll say I really love, you'll see it better. There's a decrease in this, which I haven't done before, but it's kind of I don't know if you can see it there, because you work this sleeve, you work everything in pattern. There's like a center decrease here, which is a knit to slip purl. I'm gonna put the abbreviation in here. I forget exactly what it is in the pattern, but it's essentially a decrease that eventually would come to a point. So you're kind of decreasing on either side, sort of slowly up. So I'm really curious and kind of excited to see what that is gonna look like once I block it, but I think it's really cool. So a decrease that I've never done before, which is sort of neat and very ingenious in terms of like weaving it into the full-on texture pattern. which candidly, when I started this, I was like, I don't know how decreases are gonna work in this because it's so fully textured. But yeah, really smart way to do this. So I'm very much enjoying this. So forgot to say, I'll put up some pictures, some still pictures of me wearing all of these whips so you can kind of see like the fit and how they're looking. They are all unblocked, but here there's some pictures I can put up here of me in this one, and I'll keep doing that for all the whips in this too, just so I don't have to kind of put these on and off like while I'm filming. It's just it's kind of warm in here and it's a lot of work, so you'll just see those on the side here. But yeah, that is my Peggy. I think she should be done by the end of the week, so I'm excited for that. I'm really excited to wear her and block her and everything. So yeah, beautiful pattern. And honestly, I love Lee Knit's style in terms of like the writing, the types of patterns she's released. I'm really interested in doing the terracotta sweater, which I haven't seen as much fanfare around. I think everybody was so invested in that porcelain sweater that she did as well, which is lovely. But kind of I'm thinking in terms of like wearability. The terracotta I think is a little bit more up my street, so that might be the next one I do from her, but I really like her style. So yeah, this has been great. All right, next whip is by Petite Knit. This is the Stockholm sweater. Sorry, one of my cats, if you can hear a scratching and crying sound, one of my cats is outside this room. We have a double door in this room. I would let her in, except when she comes in, she will sit and scream at my feet. I don't know what it is about this room in particular, but she kind of goes insane when one of us is in here. So I've had to leave her outside, and hopefully she will go away soon. I know, I sound like a mean cat mommy, but she really is very disruptive when she's in here, and she like threatens to knock over all this glassware and stuff. So yeah, we try to keep her out. But anyway, this is the Stockholm sweater by Petite Knit. So you can see I've got the collar on, and this is, full disclosure, this is kind of the reason I chose this sweater in the first place. I had this yarn that I wanted to try. This is the Nye DK from Pearl Soho in the color Raindrop. And so I wanted a very plain kind of stockinette sweater to knit it. And I chose this one because of the shape of this neckline. So I'll insert some pictures of me wearing it, but I have a few store-bought sweaters that I really like. The neckline, it's a round neckline, but not like the Peggy, for example. There's something different about this type of neckline that I think looks really great on me. And so I was looking kind of through, you know, her Petite Knits rather, like her website to see which one is the closest, and I think it was this one. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. I feel like it's a really clean neckline. I've put the body on hold here because I think I'm gonna run out of yarn. I know I was saying I was playing yarn chicken with this in the last podcast. I actually ordered another skein of yarn from the same lot from Pearl Soho. Even with that, I think I'm gonna run out of yarn on this one. So I might need to email them again and buy another skein because yeah, I'm only partway into one sleeve here. I have, let's see, I've got that much left on this ball of yarn, and then I have one more. And I still need to do basically both sleeves and like probably a little more on the body. This is a tad short on me still. And then I have to do a kind of a good deal of ribbing at the bottom too. And I'm like, I think I'm gonna run out, and I don't want this to be cropped. I've noticed something about myself, which is that I don't typically wear sweaters that are gigantic on me. And so when I'm looking at the pattern, I kind of look for the positive ease that, you know, will give me like sort of the fit that I want, but that often ends up being kind of a smaller size than I actually am, if that makes sense. So, you know, this one, I think I'm knitting a medium in this one, which is probably about right. But a lot of times, like, for example, the Peggy, I'm knitting a small. I'm done with that one, and it'll block out to be the right length, but it is like, it's not cropped, but it's like maybe a little shorter than some of my store-bought stuff. And so for this one, I really want to make sure it's long enough. And that is why I think I'm going to need that extra skein of yarn, because yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is going to cut it, but you know, nothing terribly complicated about this. I mean, it's a stockinette, so this is kind of my, you know, watch TV and relax knit at the moment. The yarn is beautiful. And so yeah, I'm excited to get this one done. I think this will be a really beautiful sort of late spring wear, maybe for evenings. but it's a gorgeous pattern, and like it's this neckline. I'm obsessed with the neckline. I think it's beautiful. So I'm really excited to wear this one. So yeah, nothing, you know, nothing terribly exciting about this, but lovely yarn, lovely color. I just need more of it, which kills me. It's 100% cashmere, so this is not an inexpensive yarn. And I'm like, hey, Pearl Soho, I need another one from that dye lot. It's me again, so that's gonna be me. Maybe I'll wait for a sale, but yeah, this is, I don't think another skein is gonna cut it, so we're gonna have to grit our teeth and buy another one, but that's okay. I'd rather have this be exactly the way I want it than play yarn chicken, use up every scrap of yarn I have and be like, well, I didn't have to buy another ball, but like it's a little too short, or I would rather have had like another 1/2 inch on the bottom or whatever, or have the sleeves be too short. So, you know, I'm gonna try and get it right. So that is whip number 2. All right, whip number 3, we have, I'm sitting on it. Okay, whip number 3, I haven't made a ton of progress on this one, I gotta be honest. This is my Eva cardigan, also by Petite Knit. I am knitting this in, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the name now. I have to look this up. Oh, it's Illimani Santi Tweed and the Issayer Mohair in this kind of golden color, which I'm now forgetting the number for. Is it 36? I can't remember. I'll put it up on the screen. Sorry, I forgot what number this was, and the little tag is gone. But yeah, I haven't made a ton of progress on this yet, but you can see kind of what it looks like on. I'll show you a picture of like the contiguous knitting on this one and what that looks like on my shoulder. So I think this is gonna fit beautifully. I'm really excited to get this off the needles and also do the button band and all that. But yeah, this is a long way from done. As you can see, I'm not even done with the body yet. Like there's nothing going on with the sleeves. I still gotta do the button band. So this is going to be a longer term project. I think it's probably going to drag into the spring. So not a lot to update here. You know, it's still a lovely knit and I'm still loving this color, but yeah, this is going to take a minute. So that's it for this one. Now, want to move on to fresh cast-ons. I'm trying not to cast on too many things, but I did finish the folklore, so I've kind of given myself a little bit of leeway here. So let me just grab those real quick. All right, this is truly like just a cast on. So this is my cast on for the Cocoon cardigan by Anne Bensel. I am knitting this out of Lezu DK and Biscotti. This is by Julie Asseline, and this is the Ito Sensei silk mohair in the color Goat. So yeah, this pattern is a little vague so far. I mean, this pattern is a little vague for this tiny thing I've already made. But anyway, I think what's supposed to happen here is you knit this little thing. This is gonna be like the back, basically like the neck, and then you kind of like start to increase out from, you know, this. But like this is one side of it, and the intention is that you're meant to pick up stitches here and basically knit like a duplicate of this, which will be, you know, I guess like this long. So call it like whatever. I don't know how long it is, like 5 inches. And that forms the back neck of this long cardigan. So you're supposed to leave this yarn kind of uncut. So I got, you know, another skein of this yarn. And then I had a bit of a panic moment. So I'm gonna try and show you this. Sorry, this fell off of my, my winder, so I had to kind of hand wind it. But I started winding this and I was like, this looks really thin for a DK. And I kept going and I was like, maybe it was because, you know, it was kind of like wrapped really tightly in the skein and it'll sort of relax a bit once it's on the ball. But it really didn't. And it was a noticeable difference from the ball, this other ball that I'd been working on earlier. So, you know, I was like, well, you know, maybe it'll be okay once I block it out. So I started like, you know, attaching the other version, like the kind of mirror version of this. I started picking up and it looked completely off in terms of like, it was visibly different. And so I freaked out a little. I was like, did I just buy the wrong yarn? Looked at the label. Nope, it is the same yarn, you know, same yardage, same weight, same everything. So I was like, okay, let me maybe soak it and I don't know, see what happens. And sure enough, I'm gonna try to show you this in a way that the camera will pick up. I just soaked the end of this, which is now totally tangled up, but okay, here we go. Okay, so hang on. This fluffed up quite a bit once it was soaked and dried. Now I'm gonna try and show you an unsoaked part of this yarn next to it. Can you see that difference on camera? It's very noticeable. So basically, I don't know, this has never happened to me with any yarn before, whether it's hand dyed or not. So I guess this just got like smushed, and maybe it was it not washed when it was made? Or I don't exactly know how they make these, but I guess like I'm a little annoyed because now I need to basically like rewind it into a skein, wash it, dry it, kind of, I guess I'll do it, I don't know, maybe on my Swift, but yeah, I'm like a little baffled about this yarn, and it makes me a little nervous about using this skein. But I mean, let's face it, I will have to because this is a big project, and you know, I'm not gonna go like buy another skein just to finish the project. But yeah, I'm a little uneasy about this. So I also I'm in no rush to kind of like rewind this entire thing. It's like 240 yards or something. It's a lot. Like rewind the whole thing and then somehow wash it neatly without it getting tangled. Like I've never done that before, but I will do it. I mean, it's not a cheap yarn, so I will do it. But yeah, this is annoying. It's also annoying because, you know, when you've started something and you've got that fresh, like cast on momentum, to run into an issue like this, you're like, oh, you know, it's sort of like a little bit deflating in a way. So that's a little disappointing, but you know, I have like 7 skeins of this, so I will just use another one until it gets to the point I need to use this guy. But yeah, bizarre. I do not know what happened. But this is a new project, new cast on. So I'm excited. I think it's gonna be pretty. This will be this will probably take me through the summer to finish. It's a giant garment. So, you know, you will see plenty of this whip. But that's that is new cast on number 1. All right, my next new cast on, again, this is very fresh, but I don't even have needles on this right now. This is my cast on for the Moonset pullover by Ozetta. So this I am knitting in, this is Knitting for Olive, oh God, I'm gonna have to put the name up on here, but it's the matching merino and mohair in this kind of lovely, like, I think this is Bordeaux, but I'll check. This lovely, lovely color, which I bought this ages ago. I bought this like before Christmas last year. And, you know, I've been meaning to kind of cast on for ages, and it just sort of languished. And so as soon as I finished the Folklore Cardigan, I was like, okay, you know what? It's time for me to start using this. This is also the first time I've ever used the Knitting for Olive merino and the Knitting for Olive mohair. So I'm very interested to see how this knits up. Because yeah, if you think about where we are in the year, doing the Moonset tee would have made more sense seasonally speaking. But I'm like, I bought this yarn with the Moonset pullover in mind. I'm gonna make it. And I'm going to talk in a little bit about kind of spring plans, which I may make another video about, but loosely speaking, I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, this is very new. I'm still in like the short row section of this. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I think this will be a lovely new project. So next time I'll have a little bit more here to talk about, but no issues here like with the Cardi Cocoon. So yeah, that is it for new cast-ons. Now, what I was mentioning about spring, I did a video recently, which actually got quite a lot of views around work-appropriate, you know, spring summer wear. And like I said in that video, I am much more of a winter, autumn kind of knitter, as you can probably tell by these projects I'm surrounded by. And so, you know, I'm not, at least at the moment, I'm not someone who's gonna be knitting like 10 different things for spring summer, but I do want to think very thoughtfully about items that are appropriate for spring summer that I could potentially kind of carry over into other seasons. you know, I'm thinking a lot about my wardrobe choices lately and sort of not wanting to make a, you know, a total capsule wardrobe kind of concept, but I want to have more items that are kind of cross-seasonal. So with that in mind, I've been looking for projects that I can either sort of shop my stash with or, you know, kind of make from new acquisitions in terms of yarn. So, oh, I should have said no acquisitions of yarn this month. So like I said, I'm looking at like shopping my stash a little bit more. And one that I came across is the Taipei top by Mochi Knits. And I'll put some pictures in here. I'm really into this. And I could picture this in kind of like a, you know, like a tan color maybe that I think could go with a lot. So I actually have a couple of, you know, potential yarns I could use with this. I have, I'll insert some pictures here of it, but I have some camel yarn left over from Pearl Soho that I bought ages ago, again, in one of their sales. This is how I used to do things. Things would go on sale and I'd buy like a blankets quantity of like yarn from them. But anyway, I have some yarn left. So I may do it. So I may knit it in camel, although I know that that is a little bit of a delicate yarn. So maybe pair it with something. It's also, I think, a little thinner than this project. This project is DK. I think that yarn is technically a fingering, although it feels fluffier than that. So I might pair it with, I don't know, either a mohair or, you know, a cashmere, which is maybe a little more breathable than a mohair for spring, summer. But I think this project could be really good to sort of bridge the seasons a little bit. So that's one option for the yarn. The other one, and sorry to say for all viewers who are fans of my anchor sweater, I do think I'm gonna frog that. You know, it's a really nice yarn. It is the Sandnes Garn Sunday Health Double, so it's actually a lot of yarn. You know, I feel like I could make something kind of interesting out of that. You know, something that I like more. It's sort of a color I think that maybe will lend itself better to either a top like this or maybe a cardigan even. I just feel like it's a lot of like beige kind of brown, like right up here with like, you know, on all the shoulders and everything. Like the yoke is just kind of, it's a little suffocating on me, I feel like. And it kind of like, you know, is a very big presence like all across. Like I think just circular yokes on me are, I don't know, not my cup of tea, or at least I haven't found one yet that I really, really love. So that will get frogged at some point and maybe I'll create something new out of it. So that could be an option for this top as well. Although that would leave me with kind of an awkward amount left. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. But you know, that's something to decide. I do think this is lovely and it would get a lot of wear. I think I would wear this spring, summer, obviously, you know, and then into fall with like a jacket on or something. It could be really cross-seasonal. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking to knit this summer. So yeah, stay tuned. You know, I'll probably make my mind up about that in the next couple of weeks and maybe start thinking about casting that one on as well. But that is it for today. So that's it for my podcast. Thank you again for tuning in. I'll be posting again soon with, you know, some more yarn reviews. I got a couple of those coming up. One is kind of negative. So, you know, if you want to hear the tea, tune into that one. And then I know I've been talking for a little while about my beginner series. I do want to start that because I have some thoughts. I think I may do a video around gauge being one. I've discovered a lot about myself and the journey of trying to find gauge and so on. Spoiler alert, I frequently don't, and still knit garments that I really love. So, you know, no biggie if you don't hit gauge. And there's a couple of other concepts I'm kind of throwing around, like, you know, color, not really color theory, but thinking about color, thinking about your wardrobe, thinking about style. So, you know, I'll be throwing those around in the next couple of weeks as well and seeing what I want to put on my filming schedule. But in the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have anything you want to throw around, ideas, requests, put those in the comments below. I always love to hear from you guys. And I think that's it for today. So thank you all for tuning in and bye-bye for now.